It's 1232. You're a priest in a small French village. The Pope has just issued an official decree. Cats are servants of the devil. Your neighbor's cat disappears overnight. Then another. Then another. Within a decade, the cat population of Europe is nearly gone. Nobody realizes yet what that means, but they're about to find out. Here's what your history teacher covered about the Black Death. Plague arrived from Asia. Rats carried it. Fleas spread it. 30 to 60% of Europe died. Terrible. Moving on. Here's what they left out. Europe had spent the previous century methodically destroying the one animal that could have slowed it down. Not by accident. On purpose. With religious conviction. And it started with one document. In 1232, Pope Gregory IX issued a papal bull called Vox in Rama. It was officially about a heretical cult in Germany. But buried inside it was something strange. A detailed description of devil worship rituals. And at the center of those rituals always was a black cat. Gregory described the cat as a physical manifestation of Satan. Half animal, half demon. A vessel through which evil entered the world. The document was read aloud in churches across Europe. And medieval people took the church seriously. Not the way people today might nod along to something and forget it. Seriously, your eternal soul was at stake. If the Pope said cats were demonic, cats were demonic. The persecution started almost immediately. Black cats went first. They were drowned, burned, and thrown from church towers on feast days. This wasn't fringe behavior. It was community ritual. In the town of Ypres in Belgium, throwing cats from the belfry of a church became an annual tradition so entrenched it continued for centuries. They still hold a symbolic version of the festival today, except now the cats are stuffed toys. Progress. But it didn't stop at black cats. Within a few generations, the fear had expanded. Any cat could be suspect. Cats were nocturnal. Cats had strange eyes that caught light in the dark. Cats walked silently. Cats seemed to appear and disappear without explanation. To a medieval peasant with no understanding of animal behavior, this wasn't just unsettling. It was evidence. Suspected witches were assumed to own cats. Owning a cat became evidence of witchcraft. In some regions, women found with cats were brought before church courts. The cat wasn't a pet. It was a confession. Here's the thing. Medieval Europe had a rat problem before any of this started. Grain stores, cities, trade routes, all of it attracted rats in enormous numbers. Cats had been managing that problem for thousands of years. They weren't pets in the modern sense. They were working animals. The ancient Egyptians had figured this out. The Romans had figured this out. Medieval Europe had figured it out too, and then decided it didn't matter because demons. So the cats disappeared. And the rats didn't. Rat populations across Europe exploded during the 12th and 13th centuries. More rats meant more fleas. More fleas meant more of everything fleas carry. Historians debate exactly how much the cat persecution contributed to what came next. The numbers are hard to isolate, but the pattern is not subtle. In 1347, a ship arrived in Sicily carrying merchants from the Black Sea. Most of the crew were dead. The ones still alive were covered in black swollen lumps that oozed blood and pus. Sicilian port authorities ordered the ships out of the harbor. The ships left. The rats didn't. Within 3 years, the Black Death had reached every corner of Europe. Conservative estimates put the death toll at 25 million. Some historians say 50 million. In certain cities, half the population was dead before the outbreak slowed. Entire villages were abandoned. Survivors walked through towns with no living person left to bury the dead. The church, which had started the whole thing, didn't know what to do. Priests died alongside peasants. Prayer didn't stop it. Fasting didn't stop it. Flagellants walked through cities whipping themselves bloody as public penance, convinced God was punishing humanity for its sins. Nobody connected it to the rats. Nobody connected it to the cats. Not yet. Here's where it gets complicated. The cat persecution didn't cause the Black Death. The plague would have arrived in Europe regardless. Yersinia pestis, the bacterium behind it, had been spreading along trade routes from Central Asia for years. You can't blame Gregory IX for a pandemic. But you can ask a fair question. What if the cats had been there? A single cat kills roughly 100 to 200 mice and rats per year. Medieval Europe had millions of cats before the persecution. The rat populations that carried infected fleas into human homes and grain stores were the primary transmission mechanism. More cats means fewer rats. Fewer rats means fewer fleas. Fewer fleas means the outbreak spreads slower, burns through fewer hosts, reaches fewer cities. We can't run the simulation. But historians who study medieval epidemiology take the question seriously. The cat persecution didn't light the fire. It removed the thing that might have kept the fire from spreading quite so fast. Europe eventually figured this out. Not through science. Through survival. After the Black Death, the cat slowly rehabilitated. Rats were so visibly connected to the plague's spread that pragmatism overrode theology. Cats came back, quietly at first, then openly. The Church never formally reversed Gregory's position. They just stopped enforcing it. Doctrine versus rats. Rats almost won. By the 1600s, cats were common in European homes again. By the 1700s, they were fashionable. By the 1800s, they were beloved. The fear had evaporated so completely that it became hard to believe it had ever existed. That's the part that gets me. A piece of paper written by one man in 1232 killed cats across an entire continent for over a century. No debate, no pushback, no one standing up to say this is obviously wrong. Just fear, dressed up as faith, spreading from village to village until it became the way things were. And then one of the worst disasters in human history rolled through and nobody thought to ask whether they had done something to make it worse. We did eventually figure it out. We always do. But usually after the damage is done, when the thing we destroyed turns out to have been holding something important in place. It's almost never obvious until it's gone.